Hi, I'm Craig Phillips, and in this video I'm going to show you how to build your own kids sandpit out of reclaimed pallet wood. And the tools you're going to require are a chop saw. If you don't have a chop saw, a hand saw will be fine. A belt sander or an orbital sander. Tape measure, pencil, sliding bevel, various size drill bits, screws, paintbrush roller and glue, a drill. If you happen to have a compressor and a nail gun, that will be brilliant, but if not, you can certainly do it with your hammer. Now that's the kind of shape I'm going to be looking for, probably by about 1200 millimeters by possibly 800 millimeters. I'm going to start to cut out my angles here. Each one of these angles are going to be 45 degrees. Now the reclaimed wood I'm going to be using are the skids. They're the underside of a pallet itself. So normally you would see 3 or 4 of these, and then you have the pallet slats across there, and of course the forks go underneath them. Well, I've taken off all of the slats, and all I'm going to be using is these thick, strong skids from underneath. Now they're only very small. These are only 800 millimeters. Sometimes they can be 1000 millimeters, 1200 millimeters, but these are only small ones. I'm going to cut them directly in half, but what I want to create is my 45 degree angles like this. So out of my one length, I'm actually going to get 2 pieces there. I'm just going to cut that more or less in the middle. I've set my chop saw up at 45 degrees. I've fixed it down to my workbench. And of course, using your PPE where necessary. Now I've fixed myself a scrap block of wood on here to act as a stop. The reason being is, this is the shape I want. I've already started to cut a handful of these down. One of the skids cut in half completely. Now this end needs cutting at the same angle, 45. So if I slide that, that will butt right up to there. Once I cut that down to size, that will be my perfect length that I want. And I need 36 of them to give me enough to go round to create 5 or 6 rings high. So that is my 36th piece cut now, just over 400 millimeters in length. And of course I've got my 45 degree angle on there, but that's all 36 of them. The next one I need to cut now is 8 of the longer pieces to create my hexagonal shape and length to it. Now these are 800 millimeters, and all I'm generally going to do is cut off the corners to get my 45 degree angles on there. Okay, so that's my first base ring. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some a polyurethane glue for in between the joints where the cut pieces are and where they meet up against there, because once that dries, that'll dry hard and expand and keep all them joints nice and solid. And then once I've got one full circle done, glued, I'm going to use my compressor and my nail gun to just pop a little fixings in there just to keep them in position until that glue dries and to stop it expanding and opening up too much. But once I've got the first row glued and fixed, the second row then, if we look closely down here, this piece now goes over the top. And then when we lie them on top of one another, I'll just use my standard PVA glue then all the way across here, plenty of it. That will be placed on top of it. The glue will start to suck it together and stick it together, and then again I'm just going to use my nailer and pop a couple of little fixings in here. They're only 50 millimeters long, so they'll go through this timber. It's about probably 38. It'll go through there. 12 millimeters of it will bite to the timber below it, and then of course once that glue is set, it will be nice and solid. It's already starting to bite itself there, but I'm not going to pin them until I get the rest of them in position. So now for our second course, so I'll take one of these. This one is going to stagger over this joint. It's the same piece as that, of course, on the first row, but now for the second row, it gets slid along to here, like that. And then the next one, the long one, goes in there. So I'm just going to use a standard wood glue now, right the way along here. And what we're trying to aim for here is keeping these as flush as possible, keeping the back end as flush as possible, and then our joint flush on this outside edge here. Now before I pin that down, I'm going to apply some more glue along here, which will bridge over this joint at the back. And then go back to my polyurethane, apply some on here, and get one of my longer lengths. So I'm sitting it on top of the standard glue, butting it up to the polyurethane. Again, just checking them nice and flush. And of course, if you are using pallet wood and not normal wood bought off the shelf, do make sure the pallets are the same size best as possible, because if you start getting them a lot thicker or thinner, you're then going to run into problems when you come to stagger the joints on them. Unfortunately, you're going to be left with quite big gaps. So that glue's biting in there. Well, this joint is nice and secure there for me. That's all still lined up. I'm ready to commit with a few more pins in there now. And remember, if you haven't got a nail gun, just your normal hammer with 50mm nails should be fine. Just there, and one more in here. Perfect. And also, what's good about using the polyurethane glue that's expanding in there all the time, when this is filled up with sand, if you're using a kiln dry sand, of course it's not going to run through the gaps in there, where if you did have gaps, it will be running through the sand. So they're going to seal them joints up for you really well. So that's the sixth and the last ring on the walls of my sandpit. I'm going to leave the glue to dry, and then I am actually going to sand all the way around the outside edges and of course the inside edges, so there is no splinters. Now this is quite big and relatively heavy now. Some people may be considering actually putting a base on the bottom of here, which you could do. You could use the slats that have come off the pallet, because of course we've used the skids on here. They will be ideal all the way along there. However, I'm going to pick my location where it's going to be in the garden, and it's not going to move again. So I don't feel as if it needs a base there. I'm just going to place mine into position and then put my sand in, because you've got to remember as well, if it did have a base in and you tried to move it around, it wouldn't be advisable whilst all the sand is in it. It'd be very heavy to move and also a little bit dangerous as well. So I'm not going to have a base in mind, but what is more important to me is I'm going to have a lid on the top of mine. Now I'm going to make a lid out of OSB board, and of course again this is all recycled. This is old bits of wood that's been manufactured, crunched up, put glue to it, compressed at high pressure, and then made these sheets. It's 18mm thick, so it's nice and strong and rigid. I'm going to place it on the top, and what I'm going to do is just let it overhang probably about 30 millimeters all the way around the front, the back and the sides of here. Cutting this off, leaving us again about that 30 odd millimeter overhang. Is I'm going to take a level, or you can use a plank of wood, place that on that angle and then mark it just on the outside there. And then that's the line I want to cut off. I'm going to clamp my straight edge, again about 40 millimeters offset from that line, just to allow for the guide on my circular saw. Once you've done that on one corner, you do the same on the other three. So that's my lid now cut down to size. I'm going to get my belt sander and just run it across the edges a little bit there where it's splintered from the cut edge, and then I'm ready to fix a batten on the bottom of there. So now my edges are sanded across there and I've got no splintery bits. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to mark underside of this, just at the top of the actual rings themselves, just so when I turn it over and I start to fix my batten on there, I know it's going to slot into position. Go. And there we have our marked edge setting back about 30 millimeters on there. So I'm now going to get a bit of a batten, glue that on, clamp it down, maybe pop a couple of little screws in it, or again a couple of little pins until the glue is dried. Now, of course, the glue is still wet underneath there. They're tacked into position, but I think I will drive in a couple of screws, countersink them down all the way around the outside, and then it's ready to seal. I'm going to apply a liquid rubberized roofing sealant on this, just with a small roller, paste it all over, leave it to dry, and then it's weather resistant for outside. So that's one coat of my rubber roofing membrane now applied on with the roller. You can apply a second coat once it's dry after about 5 or 6 hours, but I'm just going to leave mine to dry before I start sanding around the outside edges. So now the sanding is complete. I've dusted it down. I'm going to apply a couple of coats of external oil on there, and it'll just give it a better protection against the weather.
Brilliant. Pat it down, pat, pat, pat.
So that's how easy it is to build your own kids' sandpit with a roof on it. If you're looking for more inspiration, don't forget to follow us on all social media handles and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to know more about the tools I've been using, just check out the website, silverlinetools.com. Ta-da!
Okay. Oh no.
Give them a wave for bye.